My name is Cio, and I'm leading the risk and security management consulting in F-Secure in a business unit called Cybersecurity Services. And today, of course, we are talking about why organizations keep on failing in security management, but also I'd like to give you a short introduction about the webinars that are coming after this one. In F-Secure, we believe that information security or cyber should be looked holistically and from every angle. We call it 360 degrees view to information security. We believe that information security should be organized so that all the actions are designed to predict, prevent, detect, and respond to different breaches because, you know, breaches are inevitable. In F-Secure, we have focused to provide certain services to support this view and, of course, to support organizations to organize their information security or cyber management in a broader context. And for that, we have introduced some of the services related to threat intelligence, which helps organizations to predict what might be happening. This is, of course, from the risk management perspective, this is the starting point to identify risks and to understand the world we are living. Of course, it is for us easy to say that we know where the threats are because we see what's happening in the internet and in the darknet. But of course, we understand that not all the organizations have the same capabilities as we do. Therefore, there are some services in that area. But that is far from enough. Therefore, of course, there are and should be some services to manage vulnerabilities. And of course, the endpoint protection is also key element in prevent part. But you should also be able to detect and respond. Many organizations are breached today, but they are not necessarily failing or losing business immediately. But those organizations that do not manage it properly, correctly, they most likely will fail and lose customers and lose business. So my strong emphasis is that organizations should focus more than today we have seen in our client assignments how to detect and respond to different breaches. What we have seen, the organization's capability to detect their own breaches or any kind of incidents internally is not very encouraging, and therefore there are some of the services. All this is highly important. This is something to be organized as operational level. You need to plan how to do this and so on. But it won't last for long because you will need also management and leadership to make this work. I've been in management positions and my favorite topic is cyber and information security leadership and management. And today I like to personally share some insights from hundreds of different client assignments we have done to help our customers to organize, understand where they are, and to develop their information security leadership and management practices. Of course, I love storytelling. It's nice to tell you stories. However, our clients don't want to share many times their own mistakes, so I have boldly collected some of the typical mistakes we have seen when we are we meet a new client or we start a new client assignment. This is a combination of different examples, stories, and combined into a simple list of typical mistakes we see. These are not in order of importance. They are more like, well, to make this a story also. Quite typical is that we are involved when something has happened or there has been very severe near miss. A company almost lost something very valuable, crown jewels or something like that. Of course, it is easy to say that good management predicts that where to invest next and what part of the organizations you should develop next. However, human nature is so that something like information security or cyber management is something that you don't necessarily focus on that unless you realize. And when I'm talking about you, I'm talking about all levels of managers and leaders, including the board of directors level. We are happy to work with the many demanding customers who invest a lot to information security, provide high security services. However, there is always something that the ordinary day makes you lose the focus on those important information security or cyber management development areas. First mistake, if you allow me to pinpoint that, is that management in general, I'm not pinpointing any level, starting to look for a savior. And this means that it is quite human thing to do, to think about that unless all we have to do is find someone to fix this thing. This is not, of course, necessarily per se problem. Of course, you need good individuals. If you just hire one and expect everything is done and taken care of after that, then things are, and in the end, going not well. We are many times involved in situations where very capable one individual has been running the information security development, and due to him or her being very good, he or she has been the continuity risk for the company. I'm not saying that you shouldn't hire an information security professional or cyber professional. It is always very good investment. However, it is only a small part of the puzzle. Second mistake is that after that, there are parts of the management that thinks that that's enough. There is a guy to take care of everything. They are not paying focus on that, what they are going to do. And especially if you expect that there will be no changes to operating model, changes to processes, changes how to purchase services, you're wrong. Because if you want to improve, develop your information security, it means that you have to change the way you do your normal business. Information security, cyber management is not something that you can glue on top of everything. You have to change the fundamental way how the organization works to take information security into account wherever it is touched. And actually it is nowadays, due to digitalization, even the manufacturing industry and everything are in the situation that they need to consider information security in everything what they do. A traditional way to put CISO is in IT organization, in many of the organizations we have seen. However, this is, although technical side is one part of that, there are still lots of IT departments that are so focused on technology that also they are leading the CISO to focus on the technology too, regardless if he or she could be able to manage a much broader context of things. And information security is all about information. It is not about technology. Technology is a supporting tool, but you have to look at the information. Mistake number 3 is that it is so easy to underestimate the complexity. Practically, what happens is that the organizations have over time evolved into complex systems, lots of processes, lots of different product services, lots of service providers, suppliers, partners, and everyone is managing information. So simple thing to understand, for example, that where the information is actually quite important task, and is something that typically when we come to the client and we try to understand where to start, we ask certain questions that what is the important information and where and how you manage that. And that is sometimes the most difficult question. The organizations don't know themselves enough to start developing information security practices because they necessarily don't know where the information is. So information security should be built on top of the good management practices, good information security, information management practices. And of course, the CISO, whoever was hired in first step, faces the situation that there are lots of expectations that he or she can't fill unless there are development how the organization actually manages the information also. Mistake number 4 is the overestimation of technical aspects. Of course, technology is used to manage information. Of course, sometimes this also affects who is hired. As I said already, this has seen technical profession, and of course, very good information security managers, CISOs, risk managers, they need to understand technology to a certain level, but they don't have to be best hackers. They need to know how and when to use those best hackers and where to buy them. I'm not saying that a technical person couldn't evolve into a manager or a leader or a privacy professional. I have had personally also technical side and big interest on the management side later. I have seen lots of good CISOs coming from very different backgrounds and education, and they have evolved into a brilliant professionals. But the starting point shouldn't be just the technical side, because this is much broader context and much broader challenge than just technical. Mistake number 5 is that management follows others. It is when there is a complex issue, they outsource sometimes the decision making so that they will look at the reports from certain research companies and then they look what others have done. And also this is in a way, there is nothing wrong in a way that, however, if they think that because they do the same thing as everyone else, they don't have to think about information security, they are wrong. Because everyone outsourcing to cloud is, for example, as one of the trends, need to consider the information security in their organizations. It is not good justification for the security that they know a big company that have also done it. So it is the false sense of security coming with the following the herd is really dangerous. I mentioned already that there has to be changes. I like to share here an example I have seen and heard in real life as an example how management goes and continue doing things like they have done before. Let's take an example of buying an IT system or IT service. Of course, when you are buying something, you have to define your security requirements and implement them into a contract, because that contract is the tool to manage suppliers or vendors' information security and how they manage your information, for example, which is most likely most of the agreements somehow involve this. Information security manager or CISO is typically involved in the process to do that, help other functions to define what should be required in the contract. In this example, business manager needed a system, went out, agreed the content, timetable of the delivery. It was an integration project too, and all the prices. And then, like when they expected the contract to be ready, next day they invited information security manager and asked and said that sentence that actually we would like to involve the security because we know the security is important. However, everything is fixed and now you just fix the security part. So this leaves no negotiation room, negotiation power to information security personnel to actually influence anything because everything was already fixed. And there is no it is not possible to introduce new controls to the vendor, require new level of security from the vendor because they haven't included them in their own business case when they are selling this to this client. My point is that information security and should be involved in early stages and be part of also the purchasing process in this example. The bottom line is that if you want to improve information security, you need to involve right professionals, right time, and right amount of those. Well, as you can hear, this is all about, mostly about awareness also. And of course, very important part comes when the CISO is talking to the management. Mistake number 7 is that CISOs still focus on the threats, not the risks. I can personally say this because I have done the same mistakes when I was CISO or Chief Risk Officer in my history, that I was wondering that, okay, this is really important, I understand what this is, this has huge implications, I tried to my best to explain that, but somehow it didn't resonate. At some point years ago, I realized that this is not the problem, is that they don't appreciate your opinion, or they don't understand that there are threats. The language has to be different. For example, if you go there and say that there is a 0-day vulnerability in our content management platform, it can be hacked any day. Okay, that's a threat. But maybe you should go and say that, okay, we have a risk that we might lose a lot of clients. Okay, why? Just changing the angle. Try it. Mistake number 8 is that in some of the organizations, compliance is seen as a main purpose and not the security. Or security is seen only as a compliance issue. I mean that, of course, there are wonderful security standards. We help clients to prepare their organizations for ISO 27001 Information Security Management System audit, or PCI DSS standard. PCI is payment card industry related mandatory standard to all the companies and organizations that are handling credit card data. They are good benchmarks. You can improve your organization. You can ask, for example, us to audit you, and then you get certification. Wonderful. From the management perspective, they provide this kind of leadership tool that you will say to the organization that, okay, we need to be more secure, go and fetch this certification. It is easy to measure. And it is kind of just, again, follow the others' strategy. However, those certifications are just the baseline. They are the starting point to make the, let's say, common elements from technical side, but also from the management side. It's a hygienic thing, not really differentiating thing. And the downside and the pitfall is that when you drive information security or security in general towards just the certification, the organization learns that it is the purpose, not the security. So you try to reach the certification, maybe sacrificing also some of the good security practices. And our advice to our clients when we go and do these audits, PCI audits, help clients to reach their, you name it, certification, is that you need to improve your security, and the certification follows as a side product, because that sends better message to all of the personnel working there. In the end, this is leadership issue. This is how you should lead your people in your organization to develop the security, and not compliance issue. Well, let's go then to the area where something goes wrong. And risk management as a profession is pretty much about transparency and openly discussing about defects and shortcomings and those threats. Mistake number 9 is that risk management has been developed as a blame game. developed into a blame game. So the purpose is, of course, to help organizations to predict and prioritize, predict what might happen, and also to prioritize what should be done because there is a business connection or business impact. Sometimes we see in clients that this has evolved in a situation where the entire risk management practice is all about finding who is guilty and who they can sue. So this is actually killing all the potential and very good cultural developments, because you need to develop your risk management and security management culture to make everything work. Regardless of that, breaches do happen, and of course we have seen a lot of these examples from the news, and they mostly focus on how many accounts are stolen or what information was stolen and everything. Or they focus on the technical side, what was vulnerable, why it was hacked, what are the implications. However, one of the very often forgotten side of that is that these are not just IT issues, because it's all about information, it's all about brand management when you are going to go outside of the company. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, Danish newspaper was able to publish some pictures of their royal family on holiday, and it was in a way mystery how they got the tip that they were there. Turns out that this newspaper was paying one of the individuals working for a IT service provider, providing services to payment processing company called Nets. And that individual received payments for monitoring certain credit card information data and providing that on demand to the newspaper. In a way, this was really not there was no fault in technical side. There was, of course, processes that need to be improved and everything. And this really was a big thing to management and the companies involved. And this kind of thing actually went international quite soon, because happens to be so that one of the guys we all know, Edward Snowden, decided to comment that. So it was in the end even international news, and also entitled in Denmark as the worst data security incident ever. I happen to know this case, and the reality is that it took a lot of attention from the management and from the organizations, despite the fact that it was something that actually a criminal-minded person did something working for a supplier, of course managing that information. So there the focus was, there was nothing that would have been done technically to actually prevent this, because this guy was using legitimate accounts. So be aware, this case evolved quickly, and you should focus also to media management in this. This all may sound really overwhelming challenges, because of course that's what management and leadership is to guide organizations towards an agreed vision. And of course we can do a lot of things. We should focus on the strategy level. There we can ensure that the strategic risk management is in place. Risk management is part of the strategy and strategy preparation. Of course, an organization can develop a separate security cyber strategy, but how the paper is called doesn't matter. What matters is that also strategy considers information security issues at the right level. Of course, it is not the job for the board to go down and look for the firewall logs. Board has their own role, CEO has his or her own role, management team, leadership team has their own role. So you need to think about what is the right tasks for everyone. On tactical level, of course, Risk management should be part of the business management, business decisions. If a business needs to buy a system or start a new partnership with a new vendor, there has to be risk assessments and it has to be part of the decision making. And we have had very good results when we have helped clients to involve risk management practices to decision making practices. Then there is in the heart, in the middle, there is always the traditional information security management side. Some call it something like paper security or something like that, but it is the operating model, it is the processes, it is the practices that ensure that also at operational level, right things are done. And it provides tools to management and leaders to follow up what has been done. If a CAO can't answer the question that what is important for your company, what's been done today to improve your security, probably there are some shortcomings in information security management itself. It could be that organization have ISO 27001 certification, but it covers only part of the company. I'm talking about entire company, how it is actually managed. Then of course compliance management is important for some of the organizations, some of the industries. Financial sector have a lot of regulation related to this, but I say we, because we are talking from Helsinki, from European Union, that we will have a new EU Data Privacy Act, which will actually impose new sanctions if an organization don't comply with the certain ways to handle private information. And it is a great initiative because it is drawing attention at the C-level also that these things need to be done properly. And on the tactical level, it means that you have to ensure that your systems are designed so that the privacy is taken as a design principle as a default. And then there is most familiar, at least for us as a technology company and service company, the operational level. Also there should happen certain level of information security and IT risk management, which guides rest of the activities done on the operational level. Threat modeling is something that I like to highlight. It is a wonderful tool to combine with the traditional IT and information security management, and it can be done on so many different issues. And then you have also some of the services, operations, 27/4 you have to do and provide services for your own company. Lastly, I like to highlight also the breaches. The breaches are inevitable, and you need to ensure that you have the capability to detect and respond, of course, on operational level, but it goes way up to the C-level. That there are incidents where you need to involve all levels of company, and you can have a process there, and you can exercise that. I like to leave you with this picture, and next we will hear about our oncoming webinars.
Yeah, thank you, Jani. So now, this time we heard about the pitfalls of cybersecurity management. And we have 4 more webinars upcoming on the topic of cybersecurity, each handling or deep diving into the aspects of the holistic cybersecurity. We start with the prevention part on 7th of June, and then we will follow after the summer holidays with the detection, response, and the prediction parts of cybersecurity. Now you have the time for questions. So please, if anything, type them into the chat box and we can take. Meanwhile, let's go into one of the questions earlier. So there's an IT manager in a company who also has a CISO in the company and would like this CISO to really take this into consideration. To avoid these typical pitfalls, where would you start when you wish to improve security management?
Oh, this question came from IT manager, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, an IT manager.
IT manager has the operational responsibility to run the IT services. So, of course, work hand to hand with the information security manager or CISO. And as I tried to highlight in my presentation, that there are lots of good management has to take place in organizations so that the information security manager can do his or her job. So the IT manager could start asking his organization or her organization that do we know what is important to us? Do we know what are our processes? Of course, we know them, but do we have them documented so that we can actually explain to information security professionals what we are doing, where we have who are our service providers, and this is of course part of the standard IT management part. So maybe the bottom line is that IT manager has an important role to run the company and provide support to company, but also there is a lots of information that information security professionals need to start working, because otherwise they need to focus on fact finding rather than actually planning how to improve information security.
Okay, and another one then for what can a CIO expect from a CISO?
Well, that's a broad question. That's a really broad question, actually. However, where should I start? Of course, CISO should be CIO's right hand. I would say today right hand, not left hand. And help with all the questions related to information security management. And I think those two would work best together if they allowed each other to consult themselves. So whenever the CISO is planning something to be developed, he of course consults CIO to make sure that it is aligned with the general development plans, for example. And then of course when the CIO is making important decision, it is very, very good to consult CISO about this. Of course, there are some other expectations, so that development plans, yearly activities, and so on. But this falls under the standard objective setting, I would say.
We have one more here. What are your recommendations for startups to handle these pitfalls? They don't have the CIO and are also short of money and resources.
Yeah, actually we hear this question time to time. And you don't actually, what I have said is that then everyone should be partly CISO. Of course, someone from the management is always good to make the decisions. However, I would say that when you can't afford to dedicate a person, then everyone should be more aware of information security activities. And I would still recommend, especially for startups, that the information security is still something that your potential clients might ask, that how you actually manage that part. So you should be, you should consider, should you use some of the money to select something that, select for example a component or service that you are providing, and for example provide some third-party testing to that, so to provide that you actually do something when you are facing the customers. And of course this comes to the question that what is the information you are collecting from the customers and how you manage it, and what are the services and what is the business you are running.
Okay, thank you, Jani.
Thank you.